again, I saw a proactive coach in Carlo, and I saw a very reactive, late reaction coach in Pochettino. And I'm sorry, it's not good enough. I 1-1, but remember, if you remember, and Spurs fans will remember, when Juve came to Wembley and won against Spurs, Poch was exactly the same in the sense that they were in control of the game. They had been good in the first leg. They were in control of that second leg, and yet the first goal went in, and then he froze. And Wednesday night, he froze again. He froze. He didn't know what to do. What's my move now? What can I do? What do I do? And he did nothing. And I'm sorry, Gab, this is not good enough. And the thing he did were wrong. This is a team. Yes, it's an unbalanced squad. I give you that. It lacks leader. I give you that. But the last thing you need is a coach that has no idea what to do. This is a team that hasn't won away from home, Gab, against the top 7 in Ligue 1. And they haven't won a single game away from home in the Champions League this season. How is that possible? You go to Bruges, you don't win. You go to Leipzig, you don't win. You go to City, you don't win. You go to Madrid, you don't win. But you go to Nantes, you don't win. You go to Nice, you don't win. You go to Marseille, you don't win. I mean, come on.
I'll submit a theory, and you can tell me because you watch more Ligue 1 than I do. But I've watched, I think, every Paris Saint-Germain game domestically this season. I'm sure there have been 90-minute performances, but there have been very, very few.
Yeah.
And often, and very rarely when all three were there. It feels like so many times, and obviously they have a massive league domestically, right? So many times, you know, they either go a goal down and then the three work together, or they score late or whatever. And obviously Messi got going late in the season, and then Neymar had his injury. I think sometimes, you know, people have made the point that, well, you know, when you've got 3 superstars, you have to accommodate them. But there's times when they all need to work together.
Yeah.
Paris Saint-Germain haven't been asked to do that very often this season, and they failed to do that many times this season.
Yeah.
And I think if it's not there in your DNA, you don't have to turn it on every single game. You don't have to be Manchester City where they all run around like ants and run themselves on the ground. But you have to be able to do it occasionally. And that, I think, is something that Pochettino has not been able to instill. Yeah. And I might suggest that part of it has to do with the fact that what made Pochettino a great manager. Look, I'm a massive Pochettino fan.
Yeah, no, me too.
Not just because there's a small resemblance between him and Ancelotti. It's not just that, right?
Yeah.
In fact, you could see future Pochettino looking a little bit like current Ancelotti.
Yeah.
But no, it's just the fact that I think what he did at Spurs was tremendous. Whatever failures eventually happened in those circumstances, you know, let's think about who came after him at Spurs and how they did, often with more money. And I'm not just talking about Mourinho, I'm talking about Conte as well, and Nuno. But what made him great at Southampton and at Tottenham was a certain way of playing that was predicated upon blue-collar work ethic, on quick movements, on pressing. Heung-min Son and Harry Kane may be superstars, although probably not of the magnitude of Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe. But they put on their hard hat and they said, we're going to be warriors in the trenches. We're going to work like this. When he arrived at Paris Saint-Germain, he realized, perhaps correctly, that he couldn't ask them to work that way. And so he was asked to do a job that was completely different to him. This is completely alien. Carlo Ancelotti has shown that he is the Galactico whisperer. He can have the Galacticos. He can keep them happy. He can get them to work when they need to work. Pep Guardiola as well, certainly at Barcelona. People said, last night I think somebody said but Messi and Neymar are superstars. You know, you can't get them to work. Well, Pep Guardiola, I'm correct, I don't know if Pep was Luis Enrique, right? At Barcelona, they were working together. Yeah. If Pep had been there, I'm pretty sure they would have completely. They would. So, but you have to have, that is a skill as a manager, to be able to integrate the superstar into the rest of the team and be able to have a certain way.
Yeah,
he hasn't had to do that.
He doesn't have that skill, but maybe because he never worked with superstars before, and maybe because
or superstars with that mindset. I mean, Harry Kane to me is a superstar, right? But he has a different mindset.
But he wasn't a superstar when Poch arrived.
But he became one.
He became one. So maybe it's easier. But and maybe this is the dressing room that is difficult. I think it is difficult. It's a club that is not easy to manage. Yeah, I give him that. And he's not the only one to blame. But he's been there a year and a month and something. And it's not good enough. I'm sorry, it's not good enough. It might not just be his fault. Right. But Gab, it's just not good enough what we saw on the page, what we see off the page.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.